Hi, everybody. Welcome to ProLine, direct from Las Vegas. I'm Dave Cokin, joined by Jim Feist. We're going to break down a pair of baseball games going this evening, plus football fast approaching. Once you get past the 4th of July, it's almost football season. We've been covering all the divisions. Today, it's the NFC West, along with a peek at some new NFL head coaches. But first, Jim, we want people to subscribe to the channel, and we've made it pretty easy. It's free, and they get great stuff as well.
That's right, Dave. Go to ProLineTV.com. Click on the subscribe button. You're going to get a notification on new videos. Plus, you'll get a code sent to you on how to get my service for free. That's right, ProLineTV.com.
You know, the rest of July, well, technically it's 24 days, and that would be $24 from me. But actually, doing the math, there's 4 days that they don't play baseball. So, because the All-Star break is coming. So why don't we make this 20 days, 24 days, although 4 of them will have nothing. So it's 24 days for $20 from me. 20 days, it's 20 days for $20. The main thing is $1 a day if you do the math. So that's going to take you right through the end of the month. Got things going pretty well in baseball now, and of course geared up for football as well. So this is a real good offer. Take advantage by calling 855-472-2577. Jim, I get your plays in the morning, and believe me, I don't want to see, when that sheet gets sent out, I don't want to see it opposite. Because the way you're going right now, man, I mean, 15-4 is the run over the last week. It's 113-67 baseball run, and 36-10 on the big stuff, the high rollers. This is a monster run.
It's really honestly, I don't know what to say. It's just red hot. It doesn't stop.
Well, yeah, just enjoy it.
I'm enjoying it, working hard, and they're coming in, and that's what happens when you get on a run like this. I cannot wait for football to start, but I don't want baseball to end either. So here's a dynamite special. $49 gets you the rest of baseball right through the World Series, including a $500 high roller release going tonight. I'm on a 36-10 run with those high rollers. That's 4 months of baseball with me. Just call 866-546-9467.
All right, so let's look at some baseball. We've got the Rangers. We actually have a couple of good-sized favorites matchups tonight. Red Sox hosting the Rangers, and the Giants they're on the field against the Rockies. Forgot who they were playing for a moment. Got to use the teleprompter more often.
That's because the Rockies are insignificant, except they can hit.
I mean, everybody's significant if we're betting on or against them, right? That's
right.
The thing. It doesn't matter if it's whatever university, you know, Middle Tennessee or whatever in college football. They can be the most relevant team on the board.
It doesn't matter as long as you can cash a ticket.
You got it. So we look at this matchup tonight at Fenway, and the Rangers got the win last night. Red Sox did not hit well with men on base last evening, but their offense is starting to click again. Went through a little bit of a down stretch. They've got the knuckleballer on the mound, Stephen Wright tonight. He'll face Martin Perez.
He's been pretty good. Both of them have been good.
He has. Wright, Wright's an all-star. He's pitched all-star level baseball. His last start was very interesting because the one thing we know about knuckleball pitchers is that they hate pitching in the rain because the ball gets slick and they can't grip it properly. And if you look back at the last game that Wright pitched, he's got a shutout through 5 innings. And all of a sudden the skies opened up. And I thought this was a bad move by John Farrell. He walked the first guy in the 6th inning. I'd have had him out of there right away, knowing that the rain was in play. All of a sudden, he gives up a 4 spot. They ended up, I think they won that game anyway, but that was a mistake by John Farrell. Some interesting things going on with the Red Sox right now. Bannister is their, he's kind of like a system guru, if you will, as far as the pitching is concerned. He's not the pitching coach. All of a sudden, last night, Bannister's in uniform in the dugout. He's assisting Carl Willis. That sounds to me like he might be taking over for Carl Willis soon because this pitching staff has been BAD.
They have, and they're very highly priced. I mean, other than Stephen Wright in the rain, he's been the best pitcher. Now, let's talk a little bit about Texas. They're number 1 in the AL West. End of a 10-game trip. They're on a 38-18 run, 8-4 over the total. This has been a very solid team. They're 53-32, 25-20 away. they look really, really strong. But when you look at their bullpen, a lot of bullpens are crashing and burning now because a lot of fatigue going into the All-Star break. You're seeing a lot of overs these days, and that's why, because when they get to the bullpen, they're just giving up runs.
I don't know how Texas is doing this. Derek Collins on the DL. Kobe Lewis is on the DL. Yu Darvish is on the DL. And I'm blanking on somebody else.
Well, the DL has a pretty good team.
Their rotation is basically Cole Hamels and a bunch of guys who are, fringy guys, to put it mildly. There almost has to be some regression here. I think Texas is going to make a trade. They've been very fortunate. And I think they're going to make a deal, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's with Tampa, because Tampa's got a couple of pitchers that might be available. Matt Moore, specifically, could be available. I don't know how long Texas can keep doing this, but here's the thing. I look at this matchup tonight, and it's clearly Stephen Wright has the edge of a Perez. Perez is another guy. He's got some awful peripherals. He shouldn't be doing what he's doing. But the thing is, and I've learned this over the years, you can't be too stubborn with these metrics. Because just because a guy is not supposed to be pitching the way he's pitching doesn't mean he's not going to find a way to get through it. To me, the line's come down some now, so I don't really think it's playable. But earlier, this line was just too high. It's as simple as that. The value was with the Rangers.
When the game opened up at 185 this morning,
it's just too high.
That's too much. I mean, you can't. These teams, look at all the big 2-1 favorites that are going down. You got a good pitcher like this with a record like this. There's a lot of value with the underdog. Now, I'm not saying they're going to win the game. I'm saying there's value. When you make a lot of value plays, and you're right about that, over a long period of time, you're going to make money. And we're about making money. We're not always going to pick the winner, but we're going to make money, and that's key. Now, there are situations where you absolutely feel they're going to win the game well.
Yeah.
You might actually lay a price that's out of line because you think it should be higher. So in this particular spot, this team is very confident when this pitcher starts. And that, there's guys going out on the field saying, hey, we got this guy going today. And they will play hard for this guy. They might score extra runs because of that. The motivation comes from who your leader is, and that starting pitcher is your leader that day.
All right, so the Rangers maybe had some value earlier. I think we agree that where it's priced now, because the line's come down like 30 cents.
Yeah,
it's too late. You missed the party. Leave it alone.
185 down to 154 in some spots. I mean,
you just can't do that.
That's huge.
I can't do it. Some people will follow the steam. I'm not one of them. I want to get in. I make my plays early. I'm pretty good at, and so are you, gauging where the line is going to go. So you can try and capitalize and say, if you save 20 or 30 cents on a play, even if it goes down over the course of the season, that makes a big difference in the bottom line.
Most of the time we're right about the moves. The plays that we actually play before everybody else starts playing, we're giving out sometimes games the night before.
Right.
We're usually pretty right. So this game comes out 185. I never made it that high, so I knew there was value there, and then it starts to move. And now you're talking 150. I just look at 153 just showed up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of value there.
Yeah. All right. So let's look at the other game that we want to talk about, and that's the Rockies and Giants. And
this is different.
Well, you normally look at this and say, well, the Giants are going to kill them. The Rockies actually beat up that Giant. That Giants bullpen is a real big concern right now. So, to me, if you're going to look at this game, and the numbers are overwhelming on Johnny Cueto in this game, overwhelming. Jorge De La Rosa's not pitching well. He had a brief little window where he came off the DL that he seemed to be throwing it better, but he just looks really hittable right now. And Cueto, even though he's been a little bit off lately, is still one of the best pitchers in baseball. The problem, though, is what happens in the last couple innings if this game is still a game? That Giants bullpen, look what happened last night. Madison Bumgarner, 6 innings, no runs. The bullpen comes out and gives up, 7 or 8? I can't remember what. That bullpen, Bochy is pulling off a miracle, keeping them somewhat competitive. Casillas been shaky. Romo's been injured. Strickland is still throwing fastballs down the middle. Cody Guerin was doing it with Miras for a while. He's been shaky lately. They've got a couple of lefties. Lopez is still, decent, but for one guy at a time. The other lefties hasn't been very good. To me, if you're going to bet Giants, you got to look at first 5.
Well, I agree. Let's talk a little bit about betting baseball. There's a lot of options in betting baseball that you don't get when you're betting football. you can bet the first 5, like Dave just said, or you can take either team and you can bet over or under their runs, not only for the whole game, but also the first 5. When you're laying 230 on a game like this, when it opens, you're basically saying you're betting on Cueto, but Cueto's not going to finish the game most of the time. This isn't the 1950s and 60s or 70s when a starting pitcher that was going good finishes 9 innings and it's over. You don't have that many pitchers doing that anymore.
And the Rockies have the better bullpen here. I believe right now the Rockies have a better bullpen.
Well, that makes them a value play here. If they can stay in the game for 5 innings.
That could be a live bet possibility.
Yes.
That's where you bring
things like that in. Game betting. Yes.
Right. So that's some of the stuff on baseball. Listen, if you want to ask us, and this is the type of stuff we encourage you to ask us as far as sports wagering is concerned, just go to ProLineTV.com. And while you're there, be sure to hit the subscribe button and get 7 days of action free.
Absolutely. Plus, go to JimFeist.com for free stats, articles, videos, podcasts, my free fast facts, and plays from the nation's top handicappers.
All right, little football talk's coming up next. It's the NFC West Division Preview. Seahawks, Cardinals, Rams, and 49ers right here at ProLine TV. So let's look at the NFC West. And the very first thing that struck me when I saw the over and under win totals come out, the Arizona Cardinals were 13-3 last year. And the over and under on them is 9.5 wins. That's a big drop off. You generally don't see a decline like that, particularly when most of the personnel is back. So why do you think the odds makers have such a, maybe it's not the right terminology because they're supposed to be a winning team, but not nearly what they were last year?
I think they're nearly what they were last year, but it has to do with their scheduling. Where do they got to travel? They got some, like, season-ending stuff. They have to go to the East Coast and play some cold weather games in Green Bay and New England. That kind of stuff hurts. Then you have to look at the rest of the league. I don't see them dropping off too much because I think they have, of course, you never know what you're going to get out of the Rams, but the Niners are just, they're terrible. No. So anybody that's playing them that has any talent whatsoever is going to beat this team. I don't see the Niners getting even 4 wins is about all I can give them. So when you look at Arizona, I think they're going to be pretty close to what they were last year, except for the travel issues. They do have some long-distance travel issues and potentially in cold weather coming out of a warm climate. Not good for them.
Also, you just wonder if there might be some kind of a mental hangover because they got murdered by Carolina in the biggest game of the year. Carson Palmer probably had the worst game of his life.
They didn't play too well against Green Bay either.
No, they were horrible. It's not for a call in that game.
Right. It was. They ended the season wrong.
They did not end the season well.
And Palmer is, what's he, 36 years old.
But he's an old.
He's an old 36.
He's an old 36
because he's had injuries. Those injuries are repeatable, but they have a pretty good backup. They have a good team. I like their head coach. I like the job he's done. He did some good work up at Baltimore. This is a good head coach, but this is the have and have not league or division. Seattle is brutal. They're very good.
They should be.
And yes, they are.
And they should be hungry because I think Seattle, I think if you ask anybody who played for that football team last year, they would say we underachieved. They were flat early in too many games, made a lot of mistakes. Those games came back to haunt them.
Yeah, well, look at what they did in the Super Bowl the previous year and how they
lost it.
Yeah. And so there was a hangover. They started the season off poorly. They made a big comeback. Russell Wilson's been incredible. Incredible quarterback. Arguably the best quarterback in the league for what he's got.
But I thought that one thing that got them last year was that they almost seemed to be relying on Marshawn Lynch coming back. When's he going to be back in the lineup? Well, now he's
they
not
know
there
he's
anymore.
gone.
Thomas Rawls is the running back now.
They got a good backup.
I like Rawls. He's not Marshawn Lynch. He's not going to annihilate the opposing line like Lynch did. But he's a good football player. There's talent all over the place. The Legion of Boom looks as strong as ever. I think they've got to win the division.
I don't know if they got to win the division because
I think they're just better than Arizona.
They are better than Arizona. The question here is their offensive line. It's been a weak spot for this team. They got to protect Russell Wilson. He's not unbreakable, and he does get hit a lot. he does remarkable stuff. I mean, 34 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 4,000 yards, 550 yards rushing. I mean, this guy's great.
You want an amazing stat on this team, by the way. I really find this to be amazing. This is going back to 2012, and it includes playoff games. Seahawks have 2 losses by more than a touchdown. That's a really good football team. And they're, to me, as capable as anybody in the league and have as good a shot as anybody in the league to get back to the Super Bowl.
When you're that strong on defense, it's hard for the other teams to spread out away from you and have those games where you lose by more than a touchdown because they don't give up any points. This team has led the league in points given up for, I think, this will be 4 years.
Yeah.
If they
I think
do
they're going to go over the 10.5 wins. I think you're going to see a commitment from this team from day one this year that you maybe didn't see last year as they kind of just deemed themselves a playoff team.
Right.
And they got themselves in a mess early. They played some. They just had some games where they underachieved last year. Now, the other 2 teams in the division, I'll talk to the 49ers first because I know everybody's dismissing them, and I'm not by any means suggesting they're going to be a playoff contender. But I do think Chip Kelly is a huge in-game upgrade from Tom Sula. Come on, Tom Sula was completely overmatched.
He should not have been head coach.
He was completely overmatched. So just on that alone, I think this team's going to be better. I think there's going to be more excitement there. Kelly did well when he first arrived in Philadelphia.
But he had a lot of talent, too.
He did, but he's still
doesn't have
energized
that
that
here.
team. No, but I think his system might play here. And I wouldn't be, and again, I don't want anybody to misconstrue what I'm saying. I'm not suggesting by any means that the 49ers are going to be, 8-8 and hanging around the playoff chase late in the season. But the total 5.5, I'm not so quick to bet that under. I think they can get to 6 wins, maybe 7. I don't think the Rams are any better than they are. The Rams, to me, are a bad football team. I know they'll have some excitement playing in L.A. After what amounted to a lame duck season in St. Louis, but Jeff Fisher's been there forever, and he hasn't won anything. And
he hasn't had a winning season in 13 years.
I don't know why it's going to be any
How
different.
does he keep his job?
Nick Foles doesn't impress me as a starting quarterback. I love Todd Gurley, but to me, there's holes all over this football team. I think they're going to battle the 49ers. I think this is a 2-2 division. The Seahawks are really good. The Cardinals should be fine. And then you've got the other 2 teams who are not going to be winning
I'm going to disagree with you a little bit here.
All right.
I think that the Niners are the worst organization in all of football. They, from top to bottom, all the way, it's just a mess. Anybody that could get rid of Harbaugh and put in Tom Sula and do the things that they've done, this is a bad organization.
That wasn't a good
This
move.
is a bunch of people making decisions for a football team that don't know football, okay? And 4 wins is all I give San Francisco, and I'm not sure where they're going to get them.
Well, I'm not betting the over 5.5.
But
I just
when
think,
you talk
I think
about
it'll be tougher than
when
that.
you talk about organizations and you talk about consistency of coaching, even though Fisher, who I always thought was a really good coach, has not had a winning season in 13 years. He always gets to that 7-8 wins. So and I don't see the 49ers getting
And I don't see the
past
Rams
4.
because I don't think Goff is going to be ready. I don't care for Foles. Todd Gurley, look, we know what
But
Jeff Fisher.
they play defense and they do not turn the ball over.
Gurley's going to run the football.
Yeah.
Maybe they can hang in there. All right. Viewers can get free plays every day from us. All you need to do to get these on your cell phone is text to a number. Jim, let them know what that is. It's
That's
easy.
right. Text GAME to 25827. You'll get free plays right to your cell phone. Text GAME, GAME, 25827.
All right, stay tuned. We're going to look at some new NFL head coaches for 2016, some good hires, maybe some bad ones, maybe some ugly ones. We will assess right here on ProLineTV.com. And so let's talk about the new guys on the block this year in the NFL. And we'll start with I think this is a move that is really anticipated around the league as being maybe a catalyst to get this team rolling. Miami's been mediocre for too long. Ooh. I mean, the Dolphins, they just haven't been good. But Adam Gase, new blood, youngest coach in the league at 37, comes in with a great reputation out of the Bears. And I think it's a big upgrade from where they were. I referred to Joe Philbin as the mortician because he just had that demeanor on the sidelines. I mean, he seems like a really nice guy, but there was just no fire. And then they brought in Campbell, was strictly an interim hire. Gase is a guy they've locked into. look, I know Jay Cutler may never approach the status that people thought he was going to have coming out of Vanderbilt, especially that first tease that we got out of him in Denver. He looked like he was going to be a superstar. That never happened, but he did get better last year under Gase. He cut down on the turnovers. I think that Gase is a guy who can work with Tannehill and get him to a level where if he's not I don't think he's going to be a superstar, but I think he can be a serviceable quarterback. The rest of that team looks pretty good. If they can cut down on errors and just generate a little more consistency on offense, I think Gase has a chance to succeed here.
I agree with you. However, a lot of their problems comes from the other side of the ball. Yeah. 21st against the pass, 28th against the run.
Well, they got to get to the passer too.
Well, yeah, and they signed Dominic Sue for all kinds of money, who was a problem child in Detroit. He comes down here and gets 6 sacks on a season. I mean, this team, I think, has a lot more holes than just Tannehill. He can't do it by himself. I like Gase, but I think there's a lot more work to do there. I
think some of it, though, I really think some of that was, I don't know how to phrase it, bad coaching. I don't think they've been a well-coached team for a while. If this guy is the goods and he's got a good staff around him, that could be just the schemes, the way they approach things, the game planning. They could improve quickly.
Okay, well, when you're talking about improving, you start off with your division.
Well, there's only one team. To me, there's only one team better than they are.
The Jets don't know what they're doing at quarterback.
No.
They're not going to win without getting a quarterback. Buffalo, I think, is a mess. I think the Ryan brothers have not proven themselves as winners in this league. So there's movement there for the Dolphins to squeeze up. You don't know what's going on with New England and Tom Brady, because if Brady does
still the
miss
best team in the division,
I don't believe anybody's going to knock the Patriots off for winning this division. So now you're looking at possible wild card stuff. And
that'd be a hell of an accomplishment if they can do that.
Well, I don't think they're going to do that. I think there's too many good teams in the AFC.
Conversation.
What's that?
I think they'll be in the conversation.
They're
going to be. I think they'll have a chance to make the playoffs going to the last couple of weeks.
If the Jets sign Fitzpatrick, they won't be in the conversation if they sign him. If they have a quarterback, that gives you 2 good teams at the top.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
Okay.
The Bucs have Dirk Cutter. Again, we're talking about what I think is a substantial upgrade. Lovie Smith, sorry, just again, guy who I think he was a good assistant in the NFL. Maybe he'll do well in Illinois in the college ranks. But I like this hire a lot. And I particularly like it because of the fact that Cutter has a great reputation for improving quarterbacks, going way back to his college days, Arizona State, Boise State. This guy is really good with quarterbacks. Jameis Winston has a ton of talent. This could really work out well for them.
Totally strong. Jameis Winston, a quarterback, this kid could develop into something very special. If they had an injury at the quarterback position, they have a pretty good backup as well, which is important in this league.
Yep.
Because when you go through all the training camp and the practices and 16 games, injuries at quarterback do happen because they do get hit pretty darn hard. So they have a good backup. What's his name?
Glennon.
Glennon, which I think this guy could be a starter in the league. A lot of people disagree with me, but that is a very good backup for this team. So if Cutter does the job we all think he's going to be able to do with Glennon or with Winston, they have the other tools. I like this team. I like what they could do, and there's really not that much. The division's weak.
Well, Carolina's
strong,
obviously the best.
But the rest of it,
you
got Breeze is getting old. They don't have much down there. Atlanta has just flubbed the duck the last couple of years. They just haven't produced. This team could definitely squeeze in its second position.
And there's no real pressure. Cutter's got a little honeymoon period, just like
Correct.
Gase has in Miami. You know who doesn't have a honeymoon period? Because this is the downside of coaching in the Big Apple. Normally, you'd have McAdoo taking over as head coach here. And you'd say, well, the team was 6-10 last year, so there's no real pressure. It's the Giants. There's pressure right away. And there's pressure because there's a lot of talent in this team, but it's also a team that in some ways is getting a little bit older. Manning was good last year. There were a lot of good things the Giants last year.
34-14 last year with the ratio. It was very good for him.
The Giants' biggest problem last year was these fourth quarter disasters with the clock and
Clock management.
I mean, it was just unbelievable how
That
bad
does,
Tom Coughlin
that does
was
go
last
back
year.
to your coach.
Yes.
They did get rid of Coughlin, and perhaps that's part of it because they had games that they should have won. They were in great position. Their defense is a problem.
Oh, it was awful.
They need to shore up the defense. They can score points. This is a very prolific offense, and Manning is still looking. He looks a lot better than his brother did, and he wants. So I mean, this guy. I mean, I think there's potential here if they can turn the defense around a little bit.
All right, and the Eagles, no more Chip Kelly, no Huddle's gone. Doug Peterson is in, offensive coordinator under the Chiefs with Andy Reid. It's going to be a West Coast offense, ball control. So it's not going to be as exciting as it was. And you know what? It's probably going to be better than it was.
I'm not a Chip Kelly fan. I talked about San Francisco earlier, and I'm not. You know, he's a college coach that came into the pros, got some talent, and they did okay. But he's still a college coach until he proves to me that he's a pro coach. Peterson's an upgrade, in my opinion. He's going to run. He's going to have a ball control. Bradford is talented enough.
Carson Wentz will be the quarterback there really quickly.
But they also have the other guy.
But they traded up to get Carson Wentz. He's going to be out there quickly. I know I like Chase Daniel too. We're up against the clock, so we'll call it a day on the coaches. A lot more football coming up on future Pro Lines. Meanwhile, if you want to get free plays every day on a recorded message from our Vegas experts, toll-free number on a recorded message, 888-478-9222.
You can also go to ProLineTV.com, click on the subscribe button. You're going to get notifications on new videos. Plus, you'll be sent a code for 7 days of my service absolutely free. That's ProLineTV.com.
And as always, thanks for joining us. We will see you next week with another edition of ProLine.